joined by the Right Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus, Dr. Ruakana Rugunda, former Prime Minister, Republic of Uganda, and also patron of the Guild President Leadership Academy. We're also joined by the Executive Secretary of the National Special Interest Groups, Secretariat, Mr. Osborne Turiasingwire. We've also been joined by Member of Parliament from the Republic of Rwanda, Honorable Vashime. Yeah. Thank you. And also Honorable Masika Nyesige, Member of Parliament representing the youth. Of course, Honorable George Odong, Member of Parliament of Iyala. And of course, the chairperson to the National Youth Council, Honorable Daniel Ongomazik. All right, we shall go straight to our panel discussion. The Honorable George Odong already gave us the keynote. I now shall go ahead to welcome the moderator first, His Worship Abubakar Matanda, who is an advocate of the Courts of Judicature of Uganda. Your Worship, you're most welcome. Kindly take up your seat. Our first panelist for the day is Miss Irene William, who is a UNDP Student Ambassador of Tanzania. We also have Rose Nabwire, who is the 27th Guild President of the Makerere University Business School. The third panelist, it's a well gender balanced panel, as you can see. Daniela Umukunzi, who is the Guild President of Kepler College, Rwanda. We have Emolot Alan. Emolot is the founding chairperson of ICO YSCA, which is basically
Ikoyaka. It's the youth platform of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And he's also a member of the Youth Diplomacy Academy of Africa. We're also joined by Richard Chubaka, an ESC Youth Ambassador and Democratic Republic of Congo. All right, thank you so much. Okay, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Master and Mistress of Ceremonies, Right Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus, Right Honorable Second Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Members of Parliament, Iyala and the Ugandan Parliament, distinguished academicians and administrators, Your Excellencies, Guild Presidents, and student leaders, good afternoon. I must say the view from this side is wonderful. You're all looking sharp. East Africa is promising. I have the privilege this afternoon of moderating the first panel, and the topic of discussion, which has had a very wonderful keynote presentation by the Honorable George Odong, is enhancing trade through integration of East Africa. We are looking at the challenges and the opportunities. And being the very first panel and taking on such a topic which our keynote speaker has told us is the most important conversation, it's quite intimidating. But looking at the panel that I have, there is no fear that the topic is going to be handled well. And without much ado, I want to start by asking our dear panelists to first share with us what have been their key takeaways from the keynote. If you listened keenly, like I did, you realize that it was a class in the respects the MCs stated, covering every side. And I think for us to appreciate it more, we'd like the panelists to share with us their key takeaways. And I will start with the Guild President of Makerere University Business School. What is your key takeaway? We can use about a minute.
Okay,
for that.
thank you so much for the opportunity. My major takeaway from the keynote speaker was to decolonize the minds of our people in order to ensure that there is free movement of goods, free movement of people across East Africa and Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. On our panel, we have, I don't know if you keenly follow the African Free Trade Area conversation. And on our panel, we have a founding chairperson of the uh, Youth Council. So I think let's go continental. What's your key takeaway sitting where you sit? I think there are things you might see that we don't.
Yes, thank you once again. And I think the Honorable set the pace very well. He noted that currently in the globe, there is the issue of weaponizing trade. And where Africa sits, I think what I always love telling people that the Trump presidency has been the best presidencies ever for Africa because he has exposed the need for Africa to unite. Ideally, his focus on trade tariffs, weaponizing trade, is giving us an opportunity as an African continent to operationalize what our member states, the 54 member states, have signed and ratified. About 49 have ratified, 54 have signed. And the Honorable put it rightly that if we don't wake up as the African continent, if we don't see it from the Trump's view, we are going to struggle. People are negotiating, people are weaponizing trade, but yet we have a weapon called the African Continental Free Trade Area that if we operationalize it to the fullest, ideally meaning young people are included, women are included, there will be a lot of prosperity in the continent. So that was my takeaway.
Thank you very much. So we have moved from the call to decolonize, and now we have been told that the presidency of Trump, if anything, has exposed why that is very important. But on our panel, we have a student ambassador of the UNDP in Tanzania, Irene. When I hear decolonization, waking up, UNDP, they seem to be moving together. Are you on the same line? What is your biggest takeaway?
Okay, thank you so much. My biggest takeaway today, first of all, when I was listening to the our key speaker, he actually took what I wanted to tell youth today after I've done presenting. So he talked
Interesting.
about something very important of being agile or flexibility. As youth, what we need to embrace is to be agile enough to build ourselves related to the particular time that we are in right now. So we can't say that we need to transform into sustainable development that we want, but we keep on doing things that used to be done 5 past years before. So for us to grow and build something which is meaningful and sustainable, we need to be flexible enough to position ourselves into these opportunities which are available out there so that when they come to us, we're able to hit them and go grab them. Thank you.
Thank you, agility. Mr. Chubaka, are you following? Yes, Mr. Chubaka is the ASC Youth Ambassador from the DRC. Talking about agility, what was your key takeaway?
So definitely, I believe it's really very hard to speak after very interesting minds. So starting from the honorable himself, for me, it was a lecture on geopolitics and economy. And one of the most important point I picked is the fact that common infrastructures is the way to go. If we are able to build transport infrastructures as Her Excellency Samia Suluhu is doing in Tanzania, but as well energy infrastructures, because we do have the potentials, can be renewable energy, or what we are doing with the Lac Albert. We'll be having very soon our own refinery. And then that is what we should be doing. And again, if I might say, this trade, probably it's being weaponized, but for us as East African, it is an opportunity. It is something we should come up and we build our own regional integration upon it. So definitely that is it from me.
Okay, thank you very much. Daniela?
Thank you. My key takeaway was about education. After all, we still need high
Just you
learning.
kindly raise your voice.
We still need high learning institutions to provide soft skills like communication, ethical leadership, and necessary digital skills to all learners or students, because fresh graduates or those graduates are the ones who are going to be the next leaders of the future EAC we need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I know you all had takeaways. I hope you can compare with those of my panel and see. But now we enter the conversation. Now, one of the criticisms I hear a lot about integration is that it's mostly political rhetoric. And we have Undugu here. We hear our leaders, especially the senior most leaders, talking about integration. But the question always arises whether a young person right now running a small enterprise in Chikuvu, whether really this conversation is relevant to them. And I'm hearing a lot of things that are being said from the keynote, from your takeaways. Are we just speaking English, or to an ordinary person, a student watching us out there? Are there real opportunities in integration, practical opportunities, especially, and I'm emphasizing the lowest because, of course, there are opportunities for multinationals, for people with big capital, but I want us to take it down to the ordinary person running a small enterprise because they are the majority at the FTA. Are there real opportunities? Where are they?
Yes, I think I think, but they are really a lot of opportunities. African citizens were already trading. But what the integration has done, especially the common market of East Africa, is mainly the tariff and non-tariff barriers that were frustrating our young people, our women, to trade across the border is something the integration has actually done. If you want to see that it's actually happening, you need to go to the border crossings. Go to Nimule, go to Gatuna, go to Malaba and Busia. You will see young people crossing the border with their goods. And this is mainly the small and medium business enterprises who actually form 80% of the cross-border business, not only in East Africa, but mainly Africa. And maybe the question to the issue is now on the people here, because the people out there in Chikubo, these people are already trading. But they have their own challenges that maybe we will speak about later on. But the people here, the elite, the white collar job students, these are the people who have not yet harnessed the opportunities of trading in services. So the trading in goods is actually happening at the highest of it in the East African region. But the trading in services, the young people who are studying pharmacy in Makerere, you are a doctor, you are an engineer, you are, if you, that is a market. Currently, the East African Customs Union has about 200 million customers of any product you can produce, be it a pen, be it a matchbox, be it whatever you can think of. So the goal is, the mandate is now for us who wants to become rich, not get rich quick like the forex people, but who want to build generational wealth. The idea is to know, what can I give? If you are a doctor, you already have within the customs union, you can trade your service to Kenya, to Burundi, to Somalia. Somalia is a virgin market. I know the insecurity issue is being solved there, but these are, DRC here is a virgin market. Let alone let Ebola phase off. It's a virgin market. So the market is there. The opportunities are there. But the question is, do our people know it? Are they interested? Or they also want to join the bandwagon of complaining that the government is not helping us, and yet they're not taking the initiative to actually look out of these opportunities? Because again, trade opportunity and market intelligence, unfortunately, comes back to you, the manufacturer, comes back to you, the person who is producing the goods. You need to be able to know what is out there, what market is out there for me, so that you can produce knowing that my eggs are going to be eaten by DRC, my clothes are going to be worn by the colleagues from Tanzania, Or maybe my tomatoes, the people from Burundi are going to take it. So it comes back again to us. But I know we shall talk about other challenges when we come to the challenges, where maybe I will bring in the discussion of where government can come in and support. But
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you. So
Mm.
you're saying the opportunities are there, but the people are not aware. And I'm thinking the young people, since they are the majority.
Yes.
And earlier on, our keynote speaker was quoting Friedman saying the world is flat, that the world is in your hands. So I'm wondering, how can the most tech-savvy generation ever not have information? And maybe I'll take that question to Rose, since she's from a business school. Is MOOBS, for example, and the other institutions, are they equipping us enough to take advantage of these opportunities in terms of technology? Because the Honorable here is saying people are not aware of the opportunities, which is a shock. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. One thing I want to address to the House today is to at least give them hope that East African integration is not just a political agenda, but as a business student or as a student that has studied business, I want to believe it's an opportunity for economic growth. But for us to achieve sustainable development, we are going to have to remove the trade barriers, like what our keynote speaker had stated earlier. We are going to have to be a little more intentional with the young people of our nation and ensure that they are the innovators and entrepreneurs of our country and of East Africa at large. As you've clearly stated, yes, I'm in business school and we are taught to be entrepreneurs and innovators. But when we leave school, everyone wants to have a white collar job, and the fear to start, the losses you're going to make, the uncertainty. In class, we are taught as a business person, you're supposed to be a risk taker. You're supposed to start up. Whenever you get an idea, you have to give yourself 100 chances as a young person, as long as you are not scared of failing. But yes, we have information, we have platforms that give us the information, but everyone is on their platform and everyone decides what they take in. So with that said, the young people are less informed about the systems that we have. For example, if you ask the young people in our room today, how many of them know about the African Continental Free Trade Area that began operating on 1st January 2021, most of them are going to keep quiet. Because why? We decide the information that we take in. But this is a platform that has was put to put opportunities for the young people, to create job opportunities for them. So one of the key things that I feel that the young people are lacking is the motivation to start and also the fear of failure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That will take me to you, Chubaka. Still on the same line of opportunities, one would imagine that technology is such an opportunity for us. But Her Excellency is telling us that the information is there, but it's self-service. You choose what you take. You as our ambassador, youth ambassador at the EAC, is this a conversation that has happened? How do we curate the information? Should we leave it that it's a free market? Information is there, they will see it if they choose, or are there things, policies and programs that are being set for us to tamper maybe with the information or to arm them to pick the right information?
Yeah, true, true. Definitely. I think I have no choice but to agree with all the previous speakers on the information gap that we face at the level of the East African community. So definitely there are a lot of frameworks that are very available, and I think Honorable will agree with me. There are a lot of provision from micro, small, and medium enterprise. Everything is there. In 2017, the East African community adopted the the elimination of non-tariff barriers act, and there is a lot of effort being done by the secretariat, by the EALA itself, and by the way, by also the young people through the East African Community Youth Ambassadors platform, where we have to actually fill that knowledge gap, make sure that the young people are aware of this policy, because we believe in ownership of the regional integration agenda. That's the only way young people can take this seriously, take this regional integration as their own. See if they can relate with the policy, the existing policy, if they can know how these policy work and how they affect their daily lives, they can give informed opinions, and those informed opinions will shape the policy that these young people want, and they can also effectively and meaningfully participate in their implementation. And I believe this is probably a call to all of us here. So this information are available uh, tariff. Uh, my English is not my first language, so we'll try to understand. But definitely, all these concepts are there. You can you can definitely understand them. But also, there is an opportunity. I totally call young people to take opportunity of is the simplified trade regime. So there is a certain threshold under which you can trade within the East African community without paying those duties. And do we know about this? So definitely, it is also a responsibility for us as representative of young people at the ESC level, but as well the young people themselves to take ownership of this. So that is what I can say on that.
Thank you. To our audience, I have a very big panel and very little time, but what we are trying to do is to throw at you. We are looking at challenges, opportunities, and solutions. So the duty on your end is to keep picking them. Later on, we shall have resolutions and we shall have discussions, but we are looking at challenges, solutions, and opportunities. And allow me now to go to the guild president of Kepler. One of the issues the keynote speaker raised was something he described as the cultural appropriation. We have talked about technology as an opportunity, but in cultural appropriation, technology seems, especially social media, sometimes crosses to becoming a threat, because he said for the region to thrive, it must have a value system that is guarded, not to be swayed by any latest trend from anywhere. And I've heard some people say that Rwanda does a bit well compared to other African countries in protecting culture. So I'd like maybe to hear from you on how you think we can deal with this issue of cultural appropriation, especially coming through social media.
So thank you by sharing on the cultural appropriation. First of all, it's a great thing that it was mentioned today. So I would like, first of all, recommend I don't know how to address those high positions, but those people in charge would first do some trainings to youth members, because we are the ones that are mostly using internet or social media. First of all, if you don't like align what these young people should be posting, because in Rwanda, there are some things you can post and others you are not allowed to post, because they're not allowed to be publicly shared. So, like humiliating others or even shaming others, you have to post something that is more, which would earn you something. Are you like teaching others? Are you giving some tips? Those are the contents that we need to be posting right now. So telling like managing youth, it's not that easy, but I would say we need youth to manage youth, because we have this mentality that what are you telling me, you like old people, you're in the different generation with what we're in, so we know, we young people know what other young people need to be managed, to do something that aligns with the cultural appropriation we need. So if you know that maybe you have to create some contents dressing properly, maybe to talk about a certain content, please, I would recommend to use young people to guide other young people, because we can't say that all young people just don't understand what culture we need in a certain country. Let's say Uganda or Tanzania, we know that there are some youth representatives who understands clearly what needs to be done. So those are the people we need right now to be guiding other, like their colleagues, their age mates. I can say that my point of view on cultural appropriation.
Masekanyesi, and I follow her a bit on social media, on TikTok and X. I think she has tried to lead by example. But the point I take from you is that you're suggesting that there is need to control what goes out. And this will take me to Irene, because Tanzania. I have seen this discussion happen in Tanzania because the moment you start doing that, we the freedom fighters, people who want liberties, freedom of expression, will come for you. I don't know if you have anything to weigh in on that with your Tanzanian perspective, but also the exposure with UNDP.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one thing that I would love to say is, as how our keynote speaker said, what you garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, kindly raise your voice a bit.
Garbage in, garbage out. As a young person, and basically from my experience as a UNDP student ambassador, if you're well determined enough, when you go to social media, you don't go for everything. There are different things in social media, but you need to be choosy enough and disciplined enough to know what you want. So first of all, you need to recognize who you are, what do you want, and what kind of people or demographic of people that you need to attract. Those three things. So when you know something like that, you will know who to follow, what content are you going to mostly focus on, which are going either to build you or to let you go down, not to grow from what you want to become. So if you're well determined enough and you know who you want to become, that means you're going to follow the people that do things that you are interested with. You're going to learn from them. You're going to grow from what you're going to see from their contents, but not to go with this social media illusion. Nowadays I've seen it. We have had so many discussions on issues related to social media. What happened is, because nowadays young people have heard that online we can make money online, so everyone is trying to use it in their ways that they think that is okay, in which at some point leads to issues related to moral decay and inappropriate behaviors on social media. So as a youth or as a young person, you should also be choosy enough to know what do you want. And from there, it's where you can take a step forward to go and gather the information that is efficient for you to groom you to where you want to become. So another thing you need to understand is personal development. If something develop you personally, you can go and focus on it, because there is no any person that would come and regulate you on what are you going to search, who are you following. So it's you independently that you need to take a personal initiative to see your preferences in an area that you need to align yourself for your future. That's
Wow, thank you very much. I told you that my panel will do well. What I'm picking from the two of you from the other side is that those who are in charge, we need policies and laws and programs to control this. But I also hear from Tanzania that you also, as a young person or as a leader, you have to choose what you want to take on. Now, we are moving towards the end. Our time is fast spent, but we shall not go without interrogating this. Again, from the keynote, and I'm drawing your attention, my brother Emorot. The keynote speaker told us that we have internal threats to integration, to trade, but he also told us there are also external threats. And he highlighted some of them. One of them, he said, our governance systems still mirror the colonial system that was built for extraction rather than production. He also said the trade has been weaponized. And yet, you're telling us all we need to do is to embrace the CTA, and then all will be good. Would you kindly help us on that? Because you're saying embrace, but we are being told there are external threats, and this trade has been weaponized.
Yes, thank you. And I think it was a very good point by Honorable. This has been the issue. This has been what has been happening over the years. The African market was formulated in a way, it was controlled in a way to become more of an extractionist market, where people from the outside come and get the raw materials and take. And it took some time, it really took some time for our leaders to understand that that is not the right way of development, that you can't develop by taking your raw materials away. And you very well may know that His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, he has been the champion of ensuring that you add value here. So after most of the countries, and maybe also to just add on that, that most African member states were running kind of a protectionist economy where they don't want to open their markets for others. You realize those who have tried trading across the borders, I will not mention states here, but you realize most states, even up to today, are still having those protectionist tendencies. But something happened, something changed. There's a shift that changed up in about 2015, which eventually led into 2018 when the AFCFTA was adopted. 2015 was an interesting time where member states realized that if we continue with these protectionist tendencies, we are going to kill our own markets. We are going to perpetuate poverty that we are trying to fight. Why? Because there is a lot of opportunities across the border. Africans are giving birth day in, day out. The numbers are increasing. We are in 2063, we are going to be about 3 billion. That's a big market. So what do they say? That no, let's find a way of coming up with an instrument that opens up our markets where we, our young people, our women, who are the majority of traders, go across the borders freely. And that's how the African Continental Free Trade Area comes about. So it came into 2018. By then, for Uganda, it was Honorable Amelia Chambade, who was the Minister of Trade then, who excitedly supported the signing of this agreement. And here we are. Uganda enters into the agreement. East Africa enters into it. And in 2021, as Her Excellency said, the AFCFTA is operational. But again, despite being operational, the protectionist tendencies, what Honorable was saying about, that our leaders, our customs officers have failed to appreciate that there is more value in opening the borders, there is more value in letting our traders cross the border than in protecting. They still frustrate the process of our traders to trade across the border freely. And this is the biggest challenge we are facing. And later on, and this is again, moderator, what you say,
Yes,
that
as you learn.
that yes, there is political will, but operational wise, there is frustration. There's a lot of English in operationalizing. You go to the Ministry of Trade, the officers who are supposed to champion this are using a lot of English to implement something that the heads of state have already signed. And that's where we want to break it. That there shouldn't be English in operationalizing something that you can see is benefiting your people. And that's what we want to break. If you're there running, you are in charge of giving yoga to our people. You're in charge of giving youth livelihood programs to our people. Give them. Don't use a lot of English with collateral, with this, with that, frustrating the whole process and discouraging our people from actually trading, from actually adding value to their product that they can actually take across the border. That is where the challenge is, that the technical people who don't have experience trading is what is frustrating the trade agreements from moving forward.
Okay.
They are so technical and they are frustrating. I may not get another chance to speak, but let me just say this, that currently...
Okay, you phrased it as a parting shot because I think
Yes.
the smile of the MC has disappeared.
Exactly. What we are trying to do, we in 2024, we supported, myself and my team, supported the development of the Protocol of Women and Youth in Trade to ensure that there is meaningful youth inclusion in the AFCFTA. And it has already been, it's already operational as we speak. And what now we are doing with the support of AGRA, who are also the partners here, we are developing a youth in trade charter that is supposed to ensure that the trade association, the cross-border trade associations, who are supporting mainly the MSME, are supported within the association level. We are trying to operationalize this protocol as a way of ensuring that we give our contribution, we make it easy for our MSMEs to trade across the border with the support of the trade associations. And very lastly, as I conclude, is that, again, that the AFCFTA doesn't require English. It doesn't require a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. All it requires is you, an individual, who has a product, who has a service that you want to offer. The goal for you is, which is an action point for you today, understand what you want to do, understand the product, add value to it, understand your market, and you are capable of trading across the border. You are capable of becoming a millionaire. Myself, I will tell you, well, we're at UCU, I was a guild vice
thought you were
president
going
at
to say
UCU.
myself, I'm a millionaire, but let's go on.
We, in the Ugandan standards, I would say I'm a millionaire, but I want in USD. You know, USD is, but in the Ugandan standards.
Yes, but finally, and with that example you're
Yes.
giving us.
Well, we're at UCU, and while we're in the guild presidency, and this is for our guild leaders who are many here, our focus was to ensure that when you leave university, you have a skill more than your degree. And I'm telling you, the people who enjoyed our guild presidency term 2016, 2017 at Uganda Christian University, most of them are doing amazing things in URA, in trading across the board. Myself, I'm here. Right now, I'm championing the continent in the AFCFTA. So the goal of you leaders, it's the positions you're holding shouldn't be political. It should be something that you're adding value. Today, if I ask His Excellencies, Our Excellencies Emeritus here, how many people can you count and say, during my term, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have been empowered?
I fear I have to stop you.
So very lastly, the goal is you understand what you're doing, understand your
Thank
service,
you.
and go for it.
Thank you very
Asante.
much. I could barely stop him because what he's saying is interesting, but our time is up. So, dear panelists, we are going to have 30 seconds each for a parting shot. Something you wanted to say that I may have not asked about. I'll start with you, Chubaka, quickly, 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and we move in that order.
All right. Thank you so much. I think what is my say today?
Yeah, message to
Yeah,
the young
definitely.
people listening.
As young people, we should understand our East African community better, understand our market, what are the opportunities that are there, how the economy is moving. As young people, we have this technological opportunity. So how do we use it? And plus, lastly, please let's own this regional integration agenda. It is our own narrative. Let's shape it the way we want it to be. It is our generational duty. That's my say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think I'll skip the next speaker since you already gave his parting shot.
Thank you. One thing I'll tell everyone here is that, dear young leaders, we have to be involved in everything and we have to work hard to promote our Africa and East Africa as well. And let's invest in our technical skills. Thank you.
Yes, Madam President.
My parting shot would be the future of East Africa will not be defined by the borders, but rather by our ability to trade together, innovate together. And as young people, we need to step up and go beyond conversations in these rooms and go and be practical in whatever you're doing. I'm going 1 minute. As a young
Yes.
person that's from the border of Busia, I have seen trade happen. But one of the biggest problems we are having are those non-tariff barriers, especially the import quotas. So to the policymakers in this room who are here, my humble appeal would maybe to at least be more considerate when it comes to the import quotas, because those are the problems that are leading to smuggling at the border. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Tanzania is closing it.
Okay, thank you. I already had something that I wanted to say as my final word. This is for both policymakers, young people in here, and student leaders, everyone who is here. This, you can take it and note down, and then later on, you can go think about it carefully. Personal development is forever. It is a non-stop process. In that regard, we have to continually learn how to survive and thrive in this ever-changing world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have all been a wonderful panel. And to you, the audience, you've had the challenges. We tell you the challenges not to lament, but for you to find solutions, because you are the ones you are waiting for. You've had the opportunities. We share the opportunities for you to take them, but to also share them with those who might not know about them. You have had the solutions. The solutions are for you to, again, take action and share. Thank you very much. I would have loved to hear from you, but time does not allow. I'll leave it to the moderators. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you so much. Okay, a bigger round of applause for this panel. They have really done the topic justice. And the topic was enhancing trade through East African integration, the challenges and the opportunities. And I'm sure you've heard from them different perspectives, different solutions, but all trying to drive to one agenda. And that's the East African agenda. And how can we collaborate as one? So thank you so much, moderator and the panelists. And you can take a seat.
I come from a court environment, so we are waiting to be discharged.
Okay.
I guess we.
Okay, a group picture before you leave. Full smile. All right. Thank you so much. A round of applause for them as they step down. Okay, so there's been really a lot to learn from this panel, and also to understand that as young people within this East Africa and Africa, there are opportunities and they're waiting for you to take over. Yeah, we live in a period where there's a lot of information about different things, about different opportunities, and it's up to you to be in the right circles to get to identify those opportunities. So don't remain in your comfort zone. Get up. Don't. I had Her Excellency talk about the fear of starting. Get over the fear of starting. I'm sure the great people in this room, the policymakers and the members of parliament can tell you that it's about choosing to start. It's about that first decision that you make, and the rest will be history. Yeah. So moving on with our program, during the panel, we were joined by State Minister Dr. Mercy Faith Lakisa. Please put your hands together for her. Thank you for joining us and for honoring the invitation. She's the Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, but she's also a Member of Parliament for Albertong District. And she was the 83rd Vice Guild President. So I'm sure coming to this place is a sorry, is something that she doesn't take for granted, but this is where her founding home was. We're also joined by Dr. Dennis Mujimba. Please stand up and let's clap for you. The spokesperson for the Ministry of Education and Sports in Uganda. And we also have Professor Arinetwe, the Deputy Vice Chancellor in Finance and Administration. Let's put our hands together for him. And to all of you for being here, the room is full. Like the moderator said, it's beautiful seeing it from up here, and to know that there are hundreds of young minds in this place that are ready to listen and learn, but also go back and be change makers in their communities. So proceeding with our program, we're going to have the Executive Director, National Secretariat of Special Interest Groups, and that is Mr. Osborne Tuyasingura. Let's put our hands together for him as he comes up.
Our guest of honor today, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, our Minister for Youth and Children Affairs, members of Parliament present, the organizers of this very wonderful function, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The energy is low. Good afternoon. I saw one of the students from South Sudan who likes Katogo, and I think maybe we'd have to give these young people Katogo for their energies to go up. Otherwise, we are seated on the time bomb. Today, I am honored to be here to speak before you. My name is Osborne Tuyasingura. the Executive Secretary at the National Secretariat for Special Interest Groups. It's a new entity under Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development. The National Secretariat for Special Interest Groups is an office that is responsible for the youth, women, older persons, and persons with disability. In Uganda, we have councils for all those people that I have mentioned, and therefore the National Youth Council, National Women's Council, National Council for Persons with Disabilities, and the National Council for Older Persons are under one secretariat that came as a result of RAPEX. And it's the secretariat that I head. I am very happy this afternoon to be here and to speak before you. I am not going to take much of your time. I know that time is fast spent, but I will speak a few things. One, the future of East Africa will not be inherited, but it will be built. And the East Africa at a crosshead. Global competition for markets and resources mark the region's self-reliance, a strategic imperative, not option one. One, the East African partner states, we have 8 countries. That's Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, Somalia, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. All those countries that I have mentioned, they have a population of 343 million people combined, one of the East African largest single market. The East African countries that I have mentioned also, 70% of the population are under the age of 30. The region's decisive, productive, and political force. The 8 countries that I have mentioned have a GDP of 350 billion USD. Why now? Shifting global supply chains, offset implementation of joint East African bid host AFCON are converging. As policymakers and youth leaders, we ought to design programs that ensure that East African youth are organized to seize this window, not to simply witness, but we must lead the charge towards reaping a demographic dividend. As young leaders, that's what we're supposed to do. We must move from beneficiaries to economic agents. Every constituent in East Africa's production story, including guild leaders as organizers, as organized, youth must be mainstreamed as economic actor. We ought to move away from policies and programs that look at youth as welfare category. One, we have a structured legitimacy. Guild leaders, special interest groups, all these are constituencies capable of mobilizing thousands and millions towards a shared production agenda. So we must move away from being the beneficiaries. Every time we are waiting to benefit, there is a Uganda in parish model, parish development model. We are waiting to be beneficiaries, but we must move from that and be the economic agents. What are we supplying? What are we, taking to the market? We must move away from there. A production mindset for everyone. The shift from job seeking to value addition, enterprise, and trade must apply across all the persons, youth, persons with disabilities, older persons, and other special interest groups alike. We must move into production mindset other than being only the beneficiaries. Inclusion as competitiveness, a region that mainstreams all human capital beyond the most visible groups builds deeper and more resilient production capacity. The Asians, tigers like Singapore, should inspire us on this. You know, those developmental states, how they developed. They must inspire us as Africa, as East Africa, with all the population that I mentioned up there. What are we using the population to do? Policy on agenda, 3 levels of framework. Youth production and integration is not a standalone idea. It's embedded layer from continental to the national level. Let's look, we must look at this global region and the national frameworks. When we look at the global or continental, there is African Union Agenda 2063. There is United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We have African Continental Free Zone Area. At the regional level, we have East African Treaty and Common Market Protocol, East African Vision 2050, East African Regional AFCON 2027 bid. And when we look at Uganda, there is Uganda Vision 40, there is Fourth Development Plan, NDP Plan, sorry, and the NRM Manifesto. All these are the things that as young persons we should look up to and see what are the opportunities that are provided in there. What are the opportunities provided, for example, by East African Common Market Protocol? There is free movement of goods. And cross-border trade, agricultural production, crafts, manufactured. There is free movement of persons and labor. Regional job markets open the young to the young graduates and skilled workers across East Africa. Free movement of services, professional and digital services such as consultants, ICT, creative, and etc. All of those are the opportunities provided by East African Common Market Protocols. And we can look at so many things, look at NDP4, National Development Plan. There is AFCON 2027 as a regional product catalyst. What is in there? Youth employment in there is there, construction of hospitality, logistics, event management, jobs across the region. There is regional branding and unity. People are branding the East Africa because of AFCON now, a single East African identity projected to global market, and the investors, youth can and should take this initiative to change the face of East African community. As we host the AFCON, we must take this opportunity to change and come up with initiatives that change the East African face. There is youth economic participation, vending digital content, SME supply chain built around the tournament, which is very important, infrastructure development. In Uganda, everywhere now they are talking about AFCON. And so many stadiums are coming up, so many hotels are coming up. So there is already infrastructure development, and as young people, we must take advantage of all this. What guild leaders should carry home today? For guild leaders, institutionalize the regional student leadership network beyond this summit. We are here today, but we must institutionalize this student leadership that goes beyond only coming to Makerere and have this. We must go to where we come from and make sure we have conversation on all these opportunities that are happening across the East Africa. Champion a cross-border facilitation for young and special interest group entrepreneurs. carry the Makerere Youth Declaration into a national development plan implementation forums. Formalize guild leaders' representation in common market and NDP and national development plans, monitoring structures, disaggregate labor mobility data by special interest groups, link the youth entrepreneurs and enterprise financing windows that AFCON is giving us. As I conclude, just like I said, the future of East Africa will not be inherited, but it will be built. And the builders are here in this tent this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I wish you a very nice deliberation. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Then another round of applause for him. One key thing I picked is this: to have the production mindset. It is said in statistics that about 1 in every 3 people in the world will be African. And that is how we are taking over the future of work on our world, on the continent, in the world. So how best prepared are we to take over when the time has come? Do we have the right skills? Do we have the right mindset? Do we have the right opportunities? Do we have the right education opportunities? So ask yourself, do I have the right skills that are going to take me in the next future of work? Yeah. So as we are inviting our next speaker, I want you to turn to your neighbor and say hello in your language. In your language. Just say hello in your language. If you understand, if you don't understand, it's okay. Yeah? Have we understood? So if they greet you and you greet back, yeah? All right. That's nice. I hope you took the selfies earlier and you are still using the Twitter hashtag. Okay, let's come back. Let's come back. One house, one house. Okay. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Okay. So our next speaker is going to come with a lot of vibrance and energy. Yeah. And that is none other than Dr. Lakiza Masi. DJ, I want you to choose your best that will bring her up. And I want you to. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Wow. Wow. This is full house. I didn't expect that it would be like this. The Right Honorable Second Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, Dr. Crispus Kiyonga, the Right Honorable Ruhakana Rugunda, Honorable Members of Parliament, Excellencies, Ambassadors and Heads of Mission, the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University and your colleague Vice Chancellors, representatives of governments, departments and agencies, guild presidents present here and all the student leaders, representatives of youth organization, the NRM National Youth League Executive Inclusive, development partners, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel today, but I am excited to speak to you. This is a very emotional homecoming for me. Not long ago, I walked these paths as Vice Guild President of Makerere University, and I carried with me the same dreams
the same aspirations, and the anxieties I'm seeing in your faces today. So I am very delighted to be here. And I was actually here during the first inaugural edition of the Guild Leaders Summit. That was just a few years ago. And I'm happy that it has grown to this. So congratulations to the team that is behind this. I must admit that being here today, I was meant to be here today and tomorrow, and I am going to request the team to forgive me. I have summarized all that I wanted to tell you tomorrow and today. So you'll just forgive me. Maybe I'll take just a little bit more of your time. Please permit me. Distinguished guests, fellow leaders who carry the hopes and aspirations of East Africa, it will be a betrayal to my conscience if I do not pose this question to you. What kind of generation will history say we were? Will history remember us as the generation that inherited the greatest youth population in the world but failed to unlock its potential? Or will history remember us as the generation that transformed youth from spectators into architects of national development and socio-economic transformation? That is the defining question before us today. Allow me once again recognize our hosts, the Guild President Leadership Academy, and appreciate them for creating not merely another conference, but a platform that reminds us that leadership begins long before we even enter parliament or long before we even become cabinet ministers. I am happy that today I return not just as an alumnus, but I return as a minister. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa is home to the youngest population in the world. Uganda itself is one of the youngest nations globally. This demographic reality is often described as our greatest asset, and I surely agree. But I also believe that we have become too comfortable repeating that statement even without asking ourselves the harder question. So you will agree with me that an asset that is not invested in eventually becomes a liability. The reality is that youthfulness alone does not build nations. And whereas numbers and potential are critical resources in national development, on their own, they can neither create prosperity nor transform societies. This, however, should be harnessed through the creation of opportunities, grooming the right kind of leadership, promotion of innovation, and purposeful actions. The greatest challenge facing Uganda and East Africa today is not that we have too many young people, but the greatest challenge is whether we are creating enough opportunities for these young people to lead, to produce, to innovate, and to shape the future. Too often, conversations about youth begin with unemployment statistics, and that's the reality we have not just in Uganda, but across Africa. We speak about young people as though they are problems to be solved, rather than partners to be trusted. I personally, as an individual, as a Minister of State for Youth and Children, I reject that narrative. I see young farmers embracing climate smart agriculture. I see software developers designing affordable technologies. I see young people volunteering in communities where no one asked them to serve. I see entrepreneurs building businesses from almost nothing. I see guild leaders learning difficult lessons about democracy, compromise, accountability, and public service. These are not signs of a generation that is waiting to be rescued. These are signs of a generation that is already building. Our responsibility then as leaders is to ensure that the institutions move at the same speed as our young people today. The theme today speaks about positioning youth to participate in governance, production, and national development. These three, however, when we talk about them, it's actually one single unit. Governance without production creates promises that cannot be financed. And production without good governance creates wealth that benefits only a few, and national development cannot happen unless both work together. While many people imagine governance begins in parliament, the actual reality is that it begins wherever people choose dialogue instead of violence, where accountability is demanded, and where leaders listen before they speak. Governance begins when we learn that leadership is service and not status. This is precisely why guild leadership matters. Within your universities, you learn to represent competing interests, to negotiate, to build consensus, to defend ideas and make difficult decisions. So you are learning today what many leaders encounter much later in life. The quality of tomorrow's national leadership will be shaped by the quality of today's student leadership. I could point out a number of prominent leaders, whose stories never started if it were not for their involvement in youth leadership. I, for one, am an example, but when I look at everyone and my senior leaders in this room, I think the story is the same. But also, let me offer a challenge. Winning an election is not the highest achievement of leadership. Serving people well is. And leadership is not measured by the loudness of our slogans, but it's rather measured by the lives that we improve. The true test of leadership is not whether people cheer when you arrive. It is whether their lives are better because you served. Politics alone cannot transform East Africa. We must become producers. No nation has ever consumed its way into prosperity. And prosperity is built through production, through agriculture, through manufacturing, science, technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, research, through the creative industries, and through every honest effort that creates value for another human being. That is why the government of Uganda continues to prioritize wealth creation, skills development, and if we are to talk about the ATMs, which are the key pillars of growth in Uganda, the ATMs being A4 agro-industrialization, tourism, mineral development, science, innovation, and technology. Our task is to ensure that young people are not merely the beneficiaries of these programs, but active participants and leaders within them. I encourage every guild president here and every leader to ask one question upon returning home. What are we producing? Not only academically and politically, but economically, socially, and scientifically. Also, we need to ask what solutions are emerging from our universities? What businesses are being created? What research is solving community challenges? And what innovations are changing lives? Universities should not merely graduate job seekers, but they should instead graduate job creators, ethical leaders, innovators, and problem solvers. As the Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, I have had the privilege of engaging young people from different parts of the country, and I must say that their dreams are very remarkable. They want quality education, meaningful employment, safe communities, access to technology, and a fair chance to succeed, and most importantly, a voice in decisions that affect the future. And these are not unreasonable expectations. They are legitimate aspirations. That is why recently the National Youth Council launched the Youth Legislative Agenda. It is more than just a policy document. It's a national commitment to ensure the voices of the young people shape laws, policies, investments that define Uganda's future. It challenges us to move beyond consultation towards meaningful participation of the young people, beyond symbolism towards substance, and beyond listening to young people only during elections towards involving them consistently in governance. I therefore invite all the leaders that are here today and all our development partners to engage with this agenda because it belongs to all of us. You will agree with me that when young people participate in shaping laws, they are more likely to respect, to defend, and to strengthen our democratic institutions. The future we seek cannot be built within national borders alone. Regional integration is no longer just an option, it is an economic necessity. The young entrepreneur in Gulu should see opportunity in Kigali. The innovator in Nairobi should find partners in Kampala. The researchers in Dar es Salaam should collaborate with colleagues in Juba. The student leader from Makerere should build lifelong friendships with fellow leaders across East Africa. That is how regions become competitive, not only through infrastructure, but through relationships, trust, shared purpose, and a generation that thinks beyond borders. Allow me to conclude with this thought. History remembers generations differently. Some generations inherited peace, others inherited conflict, some inherited prosperity, others inherited hardship. But every generation receives one opportunity that no previous generation can claim, and that is the opportunity to define its own legacy. Our generation has inherited unprecedented technology, unprecedented connectivity, unprecedented knowledge, and the largest youth population our continent has ever known. Future generations will not ask how many speeches we delivered. They will ask what we built. They will not ask how many conferences we attended, but they will ask whether our ideas became institutions. They will not ask how many titles we held, but they will ask how faithfully we served. So I challenge you to lead with integrity, produce with excellence, serve with humility, dream without fear, and never allow anyone to convince you that your age is a limitation, because history has never been changed by those who waited for a permission. It has always been changed by those who accepted responsibility. May this summit strengthen your conviction. May it deepen your commitment in ethical leadership, inspire partnerships that will outlive these 2 days. And may history one day look back on every person gathered in this hall and say they were the generation that chose courage over comfort, service over self-interest, and action over excuses. Together, let's build an East Africa where every young person has not only the freedom to dream, but also the opportunity to lead, to produce, and transform those dreams into lasting prosperity. I thank you for God and my country.
Another round of applause for the minister and the remarkable speech she has given. Yes. It's been one that's very reflective and one that thank you. All right, thank you. Like I'm saying, her speech has been very reflective to take back time and try to ask yourself as a young person, what am I doing? How am I contributing to the development of my generation? What skills do I have that I can position myself well? But it also caused me to remember the famous quote of Franz Fanon in his book The Wretched of the Earth. Each generation must, out of relative opacity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. So, as young people from within East Africa, have we understood what our mission is? The future is no longer tomorrow. The future is now, and that's the most revealing truth. We can't wait for tomorrow. We can't keep waiting for another day, another hour. It's now that we can make a difference. Yeah. So another round of applause for that. Yes, but also take time to imagine if East Africa was one country, how would it look like? You can wake up and be like, no, today I'm going to Kenya. Tomorrow I'm going to Tanzania without having to, understand where's my passport, where is my this document. That's the kind of East Africa we are trying to build, where we are no longer defined by different tribes, different where you come from, different backgrounds, but we are defined by one. And that is, I am East African, I am African. Yes? So as we continue, I would like to take this honor and opportunity to invite Mr. Damian Masesa, the Executive Director of Guild President's Leadership Academy. Let's put our hands together for him. And Mr. Damian, I request that the DJ plays a song for you and you reveal your youthfulness to us. DJ? Yes. Jesus Christ, on it, please.
Wake up, collect your money. Wake up,
Thank you so much for putting this together. Where would we be here?
Use this one.
And of course, thank you to Hannah for keeping us alive. Colleagues, this event, as you see it happening here, there are many people that are always behind it. People across the region, but also as a secretariat, we have people that we work with. And as a tradition, I always want to speak when I have my team here for two reasons, but also to have some confidence. So that in case I miss out on something, it is a team mistake. Laban, Melissa, where's Natasha, Patience, where's Amponda? Those guys have been running up and about throughout. We also have our regional pockets, by the way, of people that are always pushing and coordinating some of you and the network to move. There's David Mugabo, was formerly the former guild president of the University of East Africa, Rwanda, and now he's championing the cause. David, first rise up for recognition. Then there's Karangwa. Semwaga Karangwa, where are you? Karangwa is back there, he's already doing work. So there's a team there. And Kenya has a special context. Kenya is championed by the Dean of Africa. Bwana Dean, Iredi, is seated behind our patron. He's doing a lot of nothing for us in Kenya. We are yet to open up pockets in Burundi. Sorry, when they miss you, it is because we are. But Congo, so we have the ambassador. We are getting him on board, and South Sudan, we have already the Matoke Ita. We shall move together in that direction, and of course Tanzania. Our patron of this summit is from there, so there's already potential there. But before we continue, before I make my speech, I need to invite Laban. Laban has been so much behind making calls to all of you, literally. And I think he knows all of you by face and name, maybe. But Laban will
I want you to do me an honor while the chief guest is around to check the room and also see that there is participation across the region before we proceed. Laban.
Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Gatolaba. I am the programs manager at the Guild President Leadership Academy. But also, most important, I serve this institution as the 86th Guild Minister. But also, I'm a final year student at this institution at the College of Business and Management Science, where I pursue my master's degree in accounting and finance. I want to take this opportunity to appreciate this tent. You see, it has more than 1,400 people seated in it. But it represents the East African community. I therefore want to start with our visitors from Kenya, of course, our Dean of Students from the University of Nairobi, and of course, the President of the University of Nairobi Students Association, UNSA, His Excellency Rashid, stand up for recognition, and the General Secretary, Tony Ocheng, and the team. We want to appreciate you for honoring our invitation, and also for always welcoming us at the University of Nairobi. Of course, I cannot forget the Dean, the head of the Dean of Students of Universities of Kenya, Muhammad, who happens to be the Dean, Masai Mara University. Yes. I want to appreciate you. I remember last year when we came at the Kenyan School of Government in Lower Kabete, you really gave us the legendary hospitality. Yeah, we of course we have the team from Egerton University. University of Egerton, I think they are behind, and the Dean of Students is there. We have the Dean from Kabalaka University, Dr. Dokas. We are welcome. You are welcome. We have the team from Masinde Muliro University, Kenya. They are behind with the Dean. We have Chuka University from Kenya. Also, I think they are behind. They are behind. You are welcome. I think we have Uzima University. Grace, the Guild, they are there. Uzima behind. Maseno in Kisumu University, also well represented. Tanzaga University in Kenya. Where is Mr. President Award? Yes, you're welcome. And so many, I don't know if I've forgotten some. Then the Open University of Kenya, Team Rook. Yeah, then we have the University Leadership Association of Kenya, by the way. The head is here. Yeah, also is so much amazing. He has actually just arrived right now. I don't know which university I've forgotten. I think there are so many. In Rwanda, we have the University of Kigali, of course, leadership. They have come headed by the two-time Guild Speaker, Kalangwa. You are welcome. The University of Rwanda is here. The East African University, Rwanda. We have the University of Technology and Arts, Byumba. They are there. Yes, you are welcome. You are welcome. I don't know which university. We have UNILAC. We have Kepler College, Rwanda, and so many. Of course, in Tanzania, we have the Nelson Mandela University. The Prime Minister, he came on Monday, you can imagine. On Monday, he was here in Uganda. Where is he? I think he was seated behind somewhere. I think he's eating Katogo outside. Then we have the University of Dar es Salaam. Also, we have representative. Of course, we cannot forget the Institute of Finance Management, Tanzania. Even last year, they came. I don't know where is the dean. The dean we appreciate, and your president and the vice president and the prime minister. Then and the rest, I don't know. In Tanzania, I think other universities are there. Actually, others are still coming. They're on the way. Of course, we have in South Sudan, we have the University of Juba. They have been represented by the chairperson of the College of Medical Association of Juba, University of Juba. We have the Stanford University, International University delegation from Juba. Of course, we have from Congo. We were supposed to have a very huge representation from Congo, but you know the reasons. Actually, the day we are supposed to send the associations there, where we're in touch, it is when they declared the Ebola. And we said we must, but they are online. We have an online platform where they are watching this important occasion. But of course, I cannot forget we have representative from Burundi. We have, of course, Uganda, Makerere University. The speaker, the president is on internship, but she will be joining us. Her Excellency Kadondi Gracious, she will be joining us tomorrow where there is a, she will be on the panel. But Mr. Speaker, sir, of the Students Guild of Makerere University, you are welcome. We have Cavendish University with the Dean, I think. Yes, we have Isbat University team. Where are you? Also, we have Guru University, where our former Prime Minister is the Chancellor of Guru University. Where are you? You are welcome. The Guild President Pius, you are welcome. Of course, we have Uganda Christian University led by His Excellency Abraham. Where are you? Yes. Mr. President, you are welcome. Then we have, actually, I forgot in Rwanda, we have the African School of Governance, founded by His Excellency Paul Kagame and the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia. They are here. One of our colleagues, she's a student there doing her masters at school, at African School of Governance. We have Ndeje. We have Nkumba. Of course, we have Kabale University, where our summit advisor is the Chancellor, Honorable Mafiru Chikire. Kabale University, where His Excellency Trust, you are welcome. Of course, we have Uganda Matters University, headed by the President of the Union. And the Dean, you are welcome, the Union President. We have Mountain of the Moon University, where is His Excellency Kato. My namesake, you are welcome. Of course, we have Busitama University, where is His Excellency Kamala Onesimus. You are welcome. Of course, we have Maltech Business School. The Dean is around here. We have IIU, we have Kampala International University. We have, of course, Mbara University of Science and Technology. Where is Conrad? His Excellency, you are welcome. We have Chambogo University. Where is Agaba? His Excellency Agaba. Yes, you are welcome, sir. There are so many universities. We have the East African Institute of Management and Science from Guru. You are welcome. We, of course, you have IU campus, both Kaboja campus, Kampala campus, and Mbale campus. We have Team University. There are so many in Uganda that if I have not mentioned your representation here, maybe we shall continue to recognize you as time goes on. I want to appreciate you. Back to my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you, Laban. Can I see those flags, East African flags being waved? All the flags. Thank you. Thank you. This speech today, we titled it "The Generation That Must Complete the East African Project." So, our chief guest, and of course representing Your Excellency, allow me read this to you as we had prepared it. Your Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda and Chairperson of the Summit of the East African Community Heads of State, and our chief guest, represented by the Second Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Crispus Chionga, and the Chancellor of Makerere University. Our summit patron, His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, the fourth President of the United Republic of Tanzania, in absentia. Our academy patron, the Right Honorable Dr. Ruakana Rugunda, the Prime Minister Emeritus of the Republic of Uganda. Honorable Matthew Ruchikaire, member of the advisory board, Your Excellencies, the ministers, members of parliament, vice chancellors, representatives of the East African community available around, the Guild Presidents Leadership Academy board members, development partners, university leadership, university leaders, deans, Guild presidents in the house today, fellow young East Africans, good afternoon. Today, I do not rise merely to welcome you to another summit. Of course, I rise to invite you, a generation, into a historical mission. I rise to speak about an idea that is older than many of our republics, bigger than any one political party, and more urgent than any one election. That's the unity of East Africa. Our history has always pushed us towards unity. East African integration did not begin with the signing of the current East African Community Treaty. As early as 1917, Kenya and Uganda operated under the Customs Union. Tanganyika joined that arrangement in 1927. That was followed by the East African High Commission between 1948 and 1961. The East African Common Services Organization between 1961 and 1967, and the East African Community established in 1967. Our people shared railways, airlines, postal services, universities, ports, currencies, and other common institutions. Makerere here, where we are, for example, was not merely a Ugandan university. It was an East African institution that educated leaders and professionals from across the region. Tomorrow will be, actually tonight, but tomorrow we'll be honored to have the governor of Kisumu, Professor Nyang'nyong, who was a guild president here, but he's there. That shows how diverse this institution is. The first East African community collapsed in 1977 because political disagreements, ideological differences, and mistrust became stronger than the institutions holding the region together. But although the institution collapsed, the idea of East Africa did not die. The three founding partner states signed a mediation agreement in 1984 and committed themselves to exploring future cooperation. In 1993, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda established the Permanent Tripartite Commission for East African Cooperation. The treaty re-establishing the East African Community was signed in Arusha on 30th November 1999 and entered into force on 7th July 2000. Since then, the region has built customs union, common market, and a monetary union framework, with political federation remaining the ultimate destination. In 2017, the heads of state adopted the political confederation as a transitional model towards the East African political federation. Today, the community has expanded from 3 to 8 partner states. Uganda, there's a flag there. Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Somalia. That expansion is not simply an increase in flags around the conference table. It is a gradual reconstruction of a people whose history, cultures, economies, security, and future have always been interconnected. The unfinished work of the integration. Despite this progress, East African integration remains incomplete. We have protocols, but ordinary citizens encounter barriers. We have a common market, but young professionals still struggle to move freely with their qualifications. We speak about our one region economy, yet traders continue to face border delays, non-tariff barriers, incompatible systems, and then, of course, unpredictable regulations. We have millions of educated young people, but not sufficiently organized regional platform through which they can influence the integration agenda. We must therefore move East African integration from presidential summits and ministerial communiques into the minds, universities, businesses, and daily lives of our people. Integration must cease to be something discussed in Arusha. It must become something lived in Kampala, in Kigali, in Nairobi, in Bujumbura, in Juba, Dodoma, Kinshasa, and Mogadishu. It must be taught in our universities. It must be defended by our student leaders. It must be advanced by our entrepreneurs. It must be understood by every young East African as a foundation of their prosperity and strategic security. Your Excellency's commitment to East African unity. Your Excellency, President Museveni, your advocacy for East African unity, expanded markets, and political integration has remained consistent over many decades. You have repeatedly reminded us that prosperity requires producers to have access to large markets or larger markets. You have argued that small fragmented states cannot independently guarantee the long-term strategic security of their people. In your address to the East African Legislative Assembly in October 2024, you challenged leaders to complete the historical mission of market integration and political federation. You warned that even if individual East African countries become developed, their limited size may prevent them from independently developing the strategic capabilities required to complete and defend themselves in the modern world. In September 2025, while addressing the Regional Ministerial Conference on the East African Community Common Higher Education Area, you again described integration as the surest route to prosperity, security, socioeconomic, and socioeconomic transformation. In March 2026, Your Excellency assumed the chairmanship of the summit of the East African Community Heads of State, placing upon you the responsibility of leading the region at an important stage of its integration journey. Your Excellency, last year you also argued that Uganda, though landlocked, is entitled to meaningful access to the Indian Ocean. I know the Kenyan brothers, last time when we went there, it was an issue which was so high on the table there. Your statement generated significant debate across the region. But beneath that debate lies a fundamental integration question. Can East Africa claim to be united when access to ports, railways, pipelines, and international markets is treated as a favor to neighboring countries rather than a shared regional responsibility? The Indian Ocean should not divide coastal and landlocked East Africans. It should become East Africa's shared gateway to the world. The answer to the challenges created by colonial borders must be confrontation. There must not be confrontation. The answer must be deeper economic and political integration. Our railways must connect our economies. Our roads must connect our communities. Our universities must connect our knowledge. Our digital systems must connect our innovators. And of course, our leadership must connect our people around a shared destiny. The journey of this summit, as you colleagues will need to know. Ladies and gentlemen, the East African Guild Leader Summit did not begin at its present scale, like you're seeing, and of course, the ministers mentioned here earlier when we started in 2024. It began as a Guild Leaders Summit, focused on bringing together student leaders from Uganda. But through the wisdom and guidance of the Honorable Matthew Chikaire, we were challenged to expand our imagination. Honorable Matthew Chikaire asked us, in effect, why should we mobilize guild leaders from Uganda alone when the problems confronting young people are regional? Why should we discuss leadership only within our national boundaries when the future we seek is East African? Why should our universities produce leaders who think only as Ugandans, Kenyans, Tanzanians, Rwandans, Burundians, Congolese, South Sudanese, or Somalis rather than East Africans? Because of this guidance, the Guild Leaders Summit was transformed into the East African Guild Leaders Summit, what we are witnessing today. A platform intended to bring together student leaders from across the region and build a youth movement committed to the East African integration agenda. Honorable Matthew Chikaire did not simply advise us, he expanded the geographical imagination of this movement. During our first summit, it was also Honorable Matthew Chikaire who moved the historic motion proposing His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete as a patron of the East African Guild Leaders Summit. His Excellency, who was then serving as our chief guest, graciously accepted the responsibility. Of course, in absentia, Your Excellency Kikwete, we thank you for accepting to place your name, your experience, and statesmanship behind a movement of young leaders. Your acceptance gave this summit regional legitimacy and gave its young founders a courage to think beyond national borders. We are profoundly grateful. Also, we wish to recognize our academy patron, the Right Honorable Dr. Ruakana Rugunda. Right Honorable Sir, your calm counsel, humility, accessibility, and belief in intergenerational leadership have sustained the Guild leadership, the Guild Presence Leadership Academy. You have remained available to guide us and encourage us and open doors for this institution. You have taught us that genuine leadership does not end when one leaves public office. It continues through the leaders one mentors and, of course, the institutions one helps to build. Honorable Matthew Chikai, of course, our advisory board member, we thank you for your consistency, historical memory, and honest guidance. To my colleagues at the Guild Presence Leadership Academy, our board members, management, staff, volunteers, university coordinators, the Guild presidents, partners, importantly, of course, the Institute of Gender and Development Studies led by Professor Ruth. You have carried this vision through difficult moments and often with extremely limited resources. You have demonstrated that a committed team with a great purpose can move an idea from one university to one country and eventually across the entire region. As we build a permanent regional movement, to you, Your Excellency, and the chief guest today, the East African Guild Leaders Summit must now grow beyond being an annual event. It must become a permanent regional movement. We are therefore establishing an eminent advisory board to provide intellectual, political, institutional guidance to the summit and these integration programs. Of course, the Honorable Matthew Richikaire is already serving as an advisory board member. We are engaging His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, who was here with us last year, the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, as well, to join us. Our academy patron, the Right Honorable Dr. Ruakana Rugunda, will remain central to this journey. Other distinguished leaders from leaders proposed for consideration, of course, subject to their gracious acceptance, include the governor and Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, Amanya Mshega, Donald Kaberuka, and other respected East African leaders, diplomats, scholars, business leaders, and integration champions. I hope we can integrate the Honorable George Odong in this advisory board at some point, if you accept, sir. This board will ensure that the movement benefits from the wisdom of those who have led governments, negotiated regional agreements, built institutions, served East Africa at the highest level. But the summit itself must remain driven by young people. The elders will guide the journey. The young people must provide the energy that carries it forward. Our requests to you, Your Excellency, these are our requests, sir. Your Excellency, President Museveni, this movement has reached a critical stage. The vision is alive. The young people are ready, can witness. The regional network is expanding to be highly visible. What now is required is institutional strength. We therefore and respectfully present the following requests. First, we request for a presidential recognition and championship. We request that Your Excellency, you recognize and support the East African Guild Leaders Summit as a strategic youth platform for advancing East African integration. We humbly request you to become a principal presidential champion of this movement and to encourage fellow heads of state to receive and support it across the 8 partner states. The second, a permanent secretariat. Of course, we are grateful to Makere that gave us space to make sure that we constantly coordinate and mobilize. We request your support to secure, equip, and sustain a permanent secretariat for the East African Guild Leaders Summit and the Guild Presence Leadership Academy. This secretariat would coordinate the annual summit, maintain the regional database of our young people as we're seeing them here and the leaders, of university leaders, manage integration programs, undertake policy research, and follow up on summit resolutions. We request that the relevant government institutions be directed to support us in securing office space, essential equipment, and operational subvention. As a regional movement, we cannot be sustained from temporary arrangements. It requires a permanent home. The third request, institutional partnership with the ESC structures. We request your guidance and support in establishing a formal cooperation framework between this movement and the ministry responsible for the East African Community Affairs, the ESC Secretariat, the Inter-University Council for East Africa, the East African Legislative Assembly, Councils for Education, and the university across the region. We further request that resolutions from this summit be formally transmitted to the East Africa Secretariat, ESC Secretariat, and YALA, and the Summit of Head State for consideration. Young people should not only be invited to dance and provide entertainment at regional events. They must be allowed to contribute ideas to the decisions shaping their future. The fourth request, sir. We request for an East African Youth Leaders Integration Fund. We request your support towards establishing an East African Young Leaders Integration Fund. The fund would support the annual East African Guild Leaders Summit, student leadership exchange programs among partner states, regional integration fellowships, youth innovation and enterprise challenges, Kiswahili and East African citizenship programs, policy research by university students, and a digital platform connecting us, the students, across the 8 partner states. We request financial, diplomatic, institutional, logistical, and technical support to turn this movement into a substantial regional institution. The fifth, taking the movement across East Africa. We request your support in opening doors for this summit to rotate among the 8 partner states. We made a slight attempt to go to Rwanda, but we hit a dead end. Normally, this summit happens in April, but I realize it's overshot because of the changes in the dates, but also the technicalities in Kigali and all that. But we hope that with your intervention, this should be seamless. We want the young leaders from Kampala to understand what is happening in Kigali. We want a student from Bujumbura to build friendships in Nairobi. We want young entrepreneurs from Juba to identify opportunities in Dar es Salaam. We want student leaders from Mogadishu and Kinshasa to know that they belong to the same East African family. The strongest protection against future regional conflict is a generation that has studied together. The strongest protection against future regional conflict is a generation that has studied together, worked together, traded together, and developed genuine friendships across the borders. Today, when I walk in Nairobi, I know the Dean of Africa would accommodate me for even a year. And same with Kigali and Dar es Salaam. So this regional bonding is important. Our commitment. Your Excellency, we are not asking governments to integrate East Africa while young people remain spectators. We are offering ourselves as partners. We will mobilize universities. We will educate student leaders. We will promote Kiswahili and East African identity. We will challenge tribalism, sectarianism, and narrow nationalism. We will build networks among future politicians, public servants, entrepreneurs, diplomats, journalists, and civil society leaders. We will encourage young people to see opportunities across the region rather than fear across the border. The heads of state can sign treaties, parliament can pass laws, ministers can negotiate protocols, but it is the people, especially the young people, who must give integration life. Our generation must not inherit East African integration agenda merely as an unfinished document. We must inherit it as a duty. In conclusion, fellow young East Africans, history is watching us. The Honorable mentioned it here. The previous generation established this community in 1967. Another generation collapsed it in 1977. A determined generation revived it in 1999. The responsibility of our generation is to ensure that it never collapses again. We must move from cooperation to unity, from community to confederation, and ultimately from confederation to a strong, prosperous, and secure East African Federation. We are not asking young people to wait until the federation is officially declared. No, we are preparing them to begin living the federation today. Our generation must be remembered as a generation that rejected fragmentation and balkanization. Let us be remembered as a generation that placed our shared future above our inherited differences. Let us be remembered as a generation that completed the historical mission of East African unity. Colleagues in the House, from the Indian Ocean to the Antarctic frontier, from the source of the Nile, where I was born, to the Great Lakes, from Kampala to Kigali to Nairobi, Dodoma, Bujumbura, Juba, Kinshasa, and Mogadishu. We are many nations, but we are one people. We have different flags like you've seen, but shared destiny. We have inherited borders, but we must build bridges. East Africa must unite not only because unity is desirable, but because our prosperity, security, and survival demand it. May God bless the Guild Presidents Leadership Academy. May God bless the East African Guild Leaders Summit. May God bless leaders who continue to guide this movement. And may God bless the people of the future of East Africa. For God and East Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the Guild President's Leadership Academy team, led by Mr. Demian Masesa. Another round of applause for them. It's one thing to think about something and another thing to actually actualize it and put it into action. So seeing such a great team put this together is very remarkable and great. Yeah. So moving on, please don't get tired. Yeah. Tell your neighbor we are just getting started. Yeah. We're just getting started. So be ready. Okay, still recognizing the different universities that we have with us today. From Kenya, we have Rongo University. Please stand up and wave. Okay, thank you so much for coming. Let's give them a round of applause. Masai Mara University. Okay, they're there at the back. Let's clap for them. We have Bomet University. Okay, thank you so much. And then from Uganda, here we have Uganda Pentecostal University. All right, thank you so much for representing. We also have King Caesar University. Oh, thank you so much for coming. We have Great Lakes University. Okay, thank you so much. We have Kampala University. Oh, they're there at the back. Thank you. We have Faith Medical University. Oh, thank you so much. We have, and that team is led by His Excellency Kato, the Youth NRM Western Chairperson. We recognize your presence. We also have Rwenzori University. Oh, thank you so much for coming. And joining us is also the 36th Uganda National Students Association President, Her Excellence Sheila Ainembabazi. Let's clap for her. Thank you so much for being with us today. Okay, so as we continue with our program, yeah, I just want us to stand up and just stand up, wave your flag. If you said hello to your neighbor on the right, now say hello to your neighbor on the left. Let's just stand up. Stand up and stretch a little. Okay, just stretch a little, stretch. Okay, wave your flag. All right. Okay, now we can take a sip. Okay? It's an honor once again to have you here and for honoring the invitation to be here to come and listen, learn. Yeah, so we thank you for being here today. Next on our agenda, I request that we settle and reduce our movements. Next on the agenda, we have Professor Arinetwe Henry, who will in turn invite Honorable Rugunda, Prime Minister Emeritus, and Right Honorable Rugunda will help us invite our chief guest. Yes, so DJ, just help me and do justice. People came with so much energy because we are trying to promote the East African agenda, but we should also be free with one another and learn to interact with one another. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, the Master of Ceremonies, the Chancellor of Makerere University, and also the Second Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, the Prime Minister of Uganda. So it's so it's my honor to welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Deputy Vice Chancellor. My brother, Dr. Crispus Chionga, the second Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, who is representing President Yoweri Museveni, the Honorable Minister, who has given us a very good statement. Yeah, she deserves the clap again. Members of Parliament who are here from East African Legislative Assembly and the Ugandan Parliament, distinguished student leaders from East Africa. First, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all because the representative nature and numbers clearly are a good sign for the integration of East Africa. I hope this momentum can be increased so that this fire, this spark can spread throughout East Africa so that issues of integration will be sorted out and we move on with other major issues facing the people of East Africa. I want to salute the leadership of the Guild Leadership Academy. I think they have done good work. They have been able to deliver a message that brings all of us together, and they have been able to penetrate the corridors of power in most of the East African countries. Please continue carrying out this. Chairman, continue. This is the beginning and not the end. The discussion, the future was highlighted as an important task for all of you, the future of East Africa. But in order to build a viable future for East Africa, we need to be conscious of where we are coming from. I'll say therefore a few words as to where we are coming from. The tempo and momentum for the African people to be together in spite of where they may be in the different continents was sparked off by Marcus Garvey when he mobilized the black people, the Africans in the United States, to come back home. He had an energetic program. The program suffered a number of problems. Nevertheless, his idea never died. On the contrary, the idea was inherited by other Pan-Africanists, especially people like Du Bois and Padamore, and also leading African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who were activists who were fighting for a Pan-African, a united Africa and East Africa for that matter, gathered in Manchester in the UK. And among those who played leading roles in this Pan-African meeting were actually students. Kwame Nkrumah was a student. Jomo Kenyatta had just been a student. Hastings Banda was a student. So many of them were students, but in spite of them being students, in spite of the fact that they were young, they were burning with a desire to see an African liberated and see Africa united. So the struggle continued, and it is from this conference that more fuel was given to ensure that Africa was decolonized. So within 10, 20 years of the Marches Conference, we got independence. Ghana in the 1950s, and other countries followed. But the days of liberation, instead of bringing us closer together, tended to divide us even more. So there was actually a struggle. Forces that wanted us to be united, and forces that wanted us to be disunited, and therefore exploited, and therefore controlled. I'm glad that the forces for unity formed the Organization of African Unity in Addis Ababa, and the Organization of African Unity has subsequently become African Union. So those are some of the important milestones in our development as East Africa and our demand for unity as East Africa. But apart from the Nkrumahs, who I have talked about, who played active role as students, perhaps I should give a local example. And the local example I want to give is Yoweri Museveni, who was a student at the University of Dar es Salaam and a student leader. And he and several other students decided to leave the University of Dar es Salaam and go to the liberated areas of Mozambique. And in the liberated areas of Mozambique, they were able to acquire some political and military skills. And it is some of these skills that Yoweri Museveni used to lead a liberation struggle in Uganda which brought freedom in our country in 1986. So, as students, you can achieve a lot. You can do a lot, especially when you are united, as indeed you are. Your chairman, Masesa, said you don't want to be spectators and let decisions being taken away from you. Actually, you should be at the center stage. You should play a vanguard role. You as young people, educated from the whole of East Africa. You should demand accountability from the leaders as to what they are doing to see the people of East Africa united and integrated. This is crucial because as you are now all well exposed, the survival of the African people, and for that matter, the East African people, depends on being united so that we can be stronger in every respect, politically stronger, so that we can be listened to. We can play our rightful role in international discourse on issues so that our economy can also grow. Ugandan economy will remain microeconomy in terms of African economics. So let's use our knowledge, our love for integration, our desire to see East African Federation. Let's push those ideas. Let's build on the foundation of the past, because indeed, if we ignore the foundation of the past, we may end up building the future with a foundation of sand, and the future may not be long-lasting. So I'm really here to invite the guest of honor, who is representing President Yoweri Museveni, who would have wanted to be here, but because of other major engagements, could not make it. He couldn't have sent a better person than the Chancellor of Makerere University, who is also the second Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, and who has done a lot of political work since he was your age. Because in 1980 elections, I will not go into that history, he was the only member of parliament elected on the ticket of Uganda Patriotic Movement. Young people would be anxious to run parliament and become parliamentarians. He decided to decline taking a seat in parliament in order to oppose the divisive and negative politics of the day. Nevertheless, he continued with the struggle, and since 1986, he has been in the government of Uganda in different ministries. I should point out that he took a sabbatical leave at one stage. The people in his constituency said, "Can you go for leave?" And during his time on leave, President Museveni appointed him to be the ambassador of Uganda to the People's Republic of China. Since from the time he was appointed ambassador to China, within a relatively short time, 2-3 years, the relationship between Uganda and China was raised to a level unprecedented in terms of cooperation. Ndugu Chong, I should also point out that he's a graduate of King's College Budo, Makerere University, and Johns Hopkins University. He's a man very well exposed, and I should point out that he is the first chairman of the Global Fund. And I'm sure when I say the Global Fund, you know what I mean. It was set up by the by WHO, fight against HIV. And Dr. Chionga led that organization very well. He mobilized the resources and laid the foundation on which the fight against HIV globally has been resting. It's therefore my great pleasure to request my brother Ndugu Kionga, who is representing the president, to come and make his statement. Welcome him more warmly.
So this meeting has a secretariat, someone who is writing or recording. Can I be informed? Someone recording and writing. I'm making that particular point because my elder and mentor, Right Honorable Wakana Rugunda, has made very key points, and you young people need to capture them. So we shouldn't lose them. Right Honorable Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, as I said, my elder and mentor, I will explain a little bit on that later on. My young sister, the Honorable Minister of the Youth and the Children, my brother, Honorable Dong, Member of Parliament of the East African Assembly, distinguished leaders in your capacities, including you of the Guild, the Guild Summit, ladies and gentlemen. As you've heard, I'm here not in my own right, but to deliver to you the message from His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni. As Right Honorable Rwakana Rugunda has just said, he would very much have liked to be with you. You invited him, he accepted this invitation, but as you will appreciate, there's so much call on his time. Sometimes he wants to move one direction, then calls divert him to another direction. So what I will do is to read to you his message, and then after that I can say a few supplementary words. This is how the message goes. I want to thank the organizers of this annual summit of Guild leaders for inviting me to preside as chief guest. I have not been able to attend your event due to earlier scheduled national engagements. However, I have asked Right Honorable Crispus Kionga to represent me and deliver my remarks to the Guild leaders attending this summit. First, I welcome the Guild leaders and other distinguished guests that have traveled from outside our borders. I wish you a peaceful and profitable stay in Uganda. I encourage you to visit the countryside to explore Uganda's natural beauty and diverse cultures and interact with your Ugandan brothers and sisters who are hospitable. I want to commend the Guild President's Leadership Academy for promoting the political and economic integration of East Africa and Africa by uniting the Guild leaders from our universities in the region. I am glad that the young leaders are coming together to deliberate on issues of regional integration. As the guarantor of our competitiveness in a changing world order, as guarantors of our competitiveness in a changing world order. This has been the focus of the NRM patriots since our student days in the 1960s. As the guild leaders, you must know that a leader is like a doctor who tries to cure a disease. In order to treat a disease, you must first of all conduct a diagnosis. Once you have correctly diagnosed the patient, then you can make the prescription. If the diagnosis is wrong, the prescription cannot be right. And if the prescription is not right, the patient cannot be cured. Our student groups of the 1960s and later, when we joined the government, identified 10 bottlenecks to Africa's development. These include the following. 1, ideological disorientation, manifested through promoting politics of identity, e.g. tribes, religion, etc., instead of politics of interest. Number 2, a weak state, especially the army. Number 3, underdeveloped infrastructure, i.e. the railways, the roads, the electricity, the telephone, the piped water, etc. Number 4, the underdevelopment of the human resource, lack of education, and poor health for the population. Number 5, interfering with the private sector, either by policy or by corruption. Number 6, a fragmented African market on account of colonialism. Number 7, exporting unprocessed raw materials and therefore getting little money and losing jobs. This was caused by lack of industrialization. Number 8, the underdevelopment of the services sector, hotels, banking, transport, insurance, etc. Number 9, the underdevelopment of agriculture. And number 10, the attack on democracy. After many years of struggle, peaceful and armed, and analysis, the NRM evolved 4 principles to address the above challenges. These are: 1, patriotism, non-sectarianism of religion or tribe, no suppression of women, no marginalization of youth, the disabled, the underdeveloped areas such as Karamoja, etc. Number 2, Pan-Africanism, working for the Federation of East Africa and beyond, as well as the common market of Africa, in order to guarantee greater prosperity and strategic security. The unity of the market of Uganda is not enough to guarantee our prosperity. A bigger market means greater prosperity and strategic security to defend our sovereignty against imperialists. Principle number 3, socio-economic transformation, so as to change Uganda from being a peasant society into a middle class, a skilled working class society, in order to benefit from Pan-Africanism and from Uganda's unity. The society must undergo a group metamorphosis, socio-economic transformation, that's to say. In our case, this means transitioning from the pre-capitalist or subsistence mode of life to the modern money economy and eliminating bystanders or spectators in the drive towards increasing household incomes and creation of jobs. As more and more Ugandans wake up and select profitable enterprises in the four sectors of commercial agriculture, industries, services, and ICT, production of Ugandan commodities and services will continue to go up. Therefore, it is easy to observe that in the long run, our internal market of 45 million people is not enough. Already, with just little waking up of a few Ugandans, we now have surplus milk, surplus sugar, surplus bananas, etc., etc. Finally, ensuring that's number 4, the development of democracy. I urge the guild leaders to study the above principles and make a contribution to the development of their respective countries. So before you leave here, this speech of the president I'm reading, I think in the course of today, is going to be multiplied so that each one of you, you have your own copy of this speech. Respective countries, East Africa and Africa. By following the above 4 principles or the ideology, the NRM was able to overthrow oppressive and dictatorial regimes in Uganda. We have revived and expanded Uganda's economy and restored democracy and respect for human life and property. We have been able to defeat illiteracy and the killer diseases. We are now waging an aggressive war against poverty and social backwardness. Already we are seeing success stories, especially in areas where the people have followed our advice on wealth and job creation. The message of the NRM is that every household must select an economic enterprise in the 4 sectors of commercial agriculture, industries, IC, and services. Currently, we still have 33% of homesteads outside the money economy. They are in the subsistence economy of working only for food. How can one expect to take their children to school or buy medicine and clothes for them if they have no money? Therefore, in order to build prosperous and stable homes, we are supporting the household's transition from subsistence farming to the money economy through the wealth funds like the parish development model, Emyoga, Youth Fund, and others. The government has put in place the necessary conditions to ensure the profitability of business enterprises. These include the good roads, electricity, peace and security, and integration of Ugandan market to the regional, African, and international markets, pursuing policies that favor the private sector. However, these economic advantages that the NRM has created should be turned into jobs and wealth for the households in order for this development to be meaningful. The parish development model and the other wealth funds are aimed at increasing the number of wealth creators engaged in production in the 4 sectors of commercial agriculture, industries, services, and ICT. Finally, I want to encourage the young leaders to stay healthy. Without good health, you cannot be able to make meaningful contribution to the prosperity of your families, country, and Africa. I urge you to avoid reckless and dangerous lifestyles such as drunkenness, smoking, sexual promiscuity, etc., which can predispose you to many diseases and complications. I thank you and wish you fruitful deliberations. That is the message from His Excellency, the President, which is going to be distributed to all of you. So as I said, I just want to say a few things. You, the leaders of today, the guild leaders, you have a heavy responsibility. People look, once you become people here, that so and so is the chairman of the guild in Makerere, those people in the village, in Kasese, in Lango, in Sese, they focus on you. In case you are not aware, I give myself as evidence. In 1971, when former President Idi Amin took over power here in Uganda, I had just finished the S4 and I was in my village. So that time, information flow was not as easy as it is today. So where I was living in the morning, someone came running to where I was running and said, Amin has taken over power. So my immediate reaction was, what has Makerere said? And by Makerere, I meant Honorable Gunda and the other youth leaders who are here. Because who are younger, we were copying, we were looking up to the likes of Honorable Gunda then. So you can see how my understanding of the world was. I thought Makerere was such a great place. It could make Uganda. So he said, you said Amin has taken over power? What has Rugunda and our other leaders in Makerere said? You see that? So you carry heavy responsibility. This is the message I want to give to you. The young people within your universities, the young people in the villages, in the schools and outside schools, look up to you. They know you have knowledge, you have energy. And you must try and look up to fulfill that responsibility. Now, after here, we have agreed with the Right Honorable Rugunda that we are going to have a small meeting of ours, maybe invite 1 or 2 of your leaders and our young sister, the minister, because I think it was the minister or somebody else who said when she was here and you started this organization, she literally thought it would succeed. And she's happy now. It is in the 3rd year. So me and Honorable Rwakana Rugunda, we want to join that call. We don't want this movement to die. So we are going to have a meeting, share with your leaders to contribute our thinking to the ideas you already have. How can we get stronger? Your leader who was reading the document for President Museveni, he has given it to me. I'm going to deliver it, but we are going to make it richer by what myself, Honorable Gunda, and our young sister are going to supplement the things you have asked. We are going to add our own on your behalf. To request our leader, the revolutionary President Museveni, to see how this young formation can make a greater contribution to the future of our country. And I would really want you to know that while we are proud, we have our countries, we have our continent, if we don't put our acts right now, we can have a problem from without and from within. For example, if I give you those who are from Uganda here, as we speak now, from the analysis of the School of Public Health of Makerere here, as we speak now, Uganda is food insecure. Like now we are having a drought. If this drought continued up to the end of the year, we shall have no food. Despite having so much arable land. We have you, so many of you young people, some who have finished university, but you have no jobs. You are looking for jobs. In medicine, there is a disease called diabetes. We call that disease a disease of starving in the midst of plenty. You need sugar for your health, for your energy as a person. But when you have diabetes, you have that sugar in your body, but you can't use it properly. You are starving in the midst of plenty. So to hear a country like Uganda, with so much arable land, that if we got a drought up to December, we will have no food, is not good news. Some of the food, as you know, we are eating is coming from outside. But you hear what is going on around the world. The Straits of Hormuz, they close, we get a problem here. So we need to create a lot of internal capacity ourselves. One of the ideas we want to sell, particularly through my young sister, the Honorable Minister, is that we should create big tracts of land. We call them agro-industrial parks. A big piece of land, 5 square miles, 10 square miles. And we put tractors there. We put factories there. Then we take you young people in those areas. Those who can drive tractor, you drive. Those who can run a machine, you run a machine. It will create another level of an economy which supplies jobs but also supplies our needs. So I really take this opportunity to once again adding to the message that Honorable Rugunda gave you, that the President gave you through this document I've read, that you should act with a sense of urgency. We need to fix certain things quickly, but in a coordinated way. My young brother, Honorable Dong, is here. We have the East African Legislative Assembly. What are they doing? We have the African Parliament. What are they doing? So you in your analysis, let's query all these formations. Let's link up with them so that everybody is playing their role, adding value to what we are pushing, and we go on. We can be attacked. That's why President Museveni talks about strategic security. People from outside can attack us as Africa and take over Africa. What they did before, we liberated ourselves, but if we are not strong, they can come back because